In today's episode, we cover Bitcoin's explosive price action, panic selling coming in on the British pound, short liquidations, and the fragile position of boomers in our modern digital economy moving forward, leaving Bitcoin posed to accelerate even more. Stay tuned for today's exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin. We are live every day at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is your daily source for everything markets and finance. I'm your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We have a terrific show for you today. There is so much that we're going to cover, as I said in the beginning. But before we begin, there has never been a better time to join our community and start building your own trading system. Take advantage of our proprietary indicators like Minx and time transformation, our community mentoring sessions, our premium trade signals, and our suite of educational material and courses. For more information, click the link in the description down below or point your browsers to premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. That's premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Like I said, we've got a fantastic show for you guys today. The first thing that I want to mention, which I didn't mention it yesterday and I definitely should have, but public service announcement. So for those of you guys and gals who are a member of our Discord community, we do have an issue right now with a scam. Somebody is impersonating me on Discord. We have not seen them impersonating any other members of the staff, just me, utilizing the same name, utilizing the same profile picture. And the slight nuance here is that they're using the same tag, right? But not the same Discord ID. So you can always check if you go into the Cracking Cryptocurrency Discord, if you enable developer mode in Discord, you can right click or long press if you're on mobile and copy ID. That's a Discord ID that is unique, that can't be copied. With Discord Nitro, you can, if you pay for Discord Nitro, you can assume any tag that you want, the discriminator, the hashtag 4 digits. And apparently, we're trying to work with this on Discord right now, but apparently you can even assume somebody else's, even if they're already using it. So that's an issue. But it's a very common scam, asking, hey, can my exchange is down? Can you send me Bitcoin? I'll send you Ethereum back type thing. It's a very common scam. It happens all the time in Discord. It's never been an issue on our server, but it is one now. It's been happening since yesterday. So we are aware of it. We're attempting to deal with it the best that we can. However, it seems that these requests are not originating from our server. So the way that this scammer is participating with this scam is he will send you a friend request. He will send you a friend request because he's not actually in the Cracking Crypto Discord server. And if you accept that friend request, then he can communicate with you and he will attempt to elicit funds with you. So just remember, nobody from Cracking Cryptocurrency, staff, or any person associated with our company will ever contact you personally for any sort of financial deal, for any loan, for any hustle, anything like that. All of our sales are done through the website, and all communication comes from official Cracking Cryptocurrency emails, mainly support at crackingcryptocurrency.com. In general, only support at crackingcryptocurrency.com. And we will never, if you're ever confused as to who you're talking about, always ask us to verify ourselves. Nobody who works for us, nor myself, will ever be offended if you ask us to prove that we are who we are, okay? You can always check by going into the actual Discord server, looking in the staff list in the top right, and messaging that person and saying, hey, are you trying to get Ethereum out of me? We're certainly not. We're certainly not. So definitely stay safe out there, guys. We're doing everything we can to deal with it. Moving on to the show. Now, the worst monthly sales data by the Office for National Statistics, which have been tracking lately. Obviously, this is the bureau that tracks economic data from countries. Now, the worst sales data in history has actually been released on the UK economy, right? Seeing retail sales down negative 5.1%. These are actually horrific numbers. These are the worst numbers that have ever been released by this office. Remember, those numbers are for March. And how worse are those numbers going to get for the month of April when the lockdown was actually in full swing? So I don't want to pick on the UK because this is certainly going to be a trend that we see across the world. But this was coming in pretty significantly on the pound, seeing a pretty big sell-off as this news was coming in throughout yesterday and moving into today. Now, in addition to that, if you evaluate the pound trading against the euro for the Forex traders out there, it can be argued that European Union nations are making a little bit better progress as far as, or at least mouthing, on easing lockdown measures over the UK, contributing to that divergence. So there is a pretty big divergence right now. Good trading opportunity between the euro and the pound. Now, markets obviously slipped yesterday. Traditional markets slipped yesterday as digital assets performed quite well. So everything performed quite well for the majority yesterday. But then as we move toward the close of the traditional markets closing bell, traditional markets and Forex pairs seem to slip. And I think this was largely due to the announcement that the potential treatment for COVID, remdesivir, that is manufactured by Gilead, originally meant to treat Ebola patients, that failed its round of clinical trials, and that is contributing to investors selling off yesterday toward end of day in traditional markets. And this just goes to show you, what kind of environment we're in, how fickle confidence is at this current point in time, and how news-driven the traditional markets can be at this point in time. So again, as I've said before, one thing that I'm doing for those of you guys who are premium members, you'll notice that I typically trade with anywhere between 2 to 3% risk, and lately I've been trading between 1 and 1.5% risk. That is my way of dealing with excess volatility, right? Volatility is very attractive, but at the same point in time, to achieve the same level of profit, I don't have to take as much risk because I know that at any moment, some adverse news can come in and wreck my position. That's always going to be the case. That is always a known when trading. Even as a technical trader, you have to accept that sometimes random elements will happen in the market that your model will not predict for, because it's impossible to build a perfect model. And that is why risk management is at the top of our trading pyramid, because we build our whole system to incorporate that, right? And it's possible to incorporate that even now. In fact, every technical model already, to a degree, incorporates news, because any back testing that you do over a period of time, there's going to be fundamental news events there, right? So one could argue that if you do a model, that all of that news data is overall priced in, because you're seeing the erratic swings in the market, right? It's predicting those erratic swings, and you don't need to. That's my entire cornerstone of teaching, is you don't need to predict those erratic swings. You just need to follow the trend and trade in the direction of the trend to be profitable with a consistent risk management approach, and you can be a consistently profitable trader. That is the cornerstone of my entire approach to the market, and I've been doing that for many years. Now, so again, what is the realistic solution to that? The realistic solution to that is reducing the number that you put in the quantity box, right? One potentiality, if you want to be a cowboy, is to increase risk. But again, remember that, cowboys fall off the horse. Cowboys fall off the horse. Whereas consistently profitable traders stay on that horse and deal with drawdown and are able to make it through drawdown, recover their losses, and proceed back to profit, right? Now, on the other hand, looking at yesterday's market performance, digital assets absolutely dominated yesterday's top gainers across all sectors. Top gainers were Bitcoin, Stellar Lumens, and Cardano, right? Now, Bitcoin topped yesterday near 7,800 before selling back down to its current consolidation range near 7,500, right? 70 million short positions were liquidated across the majors futures platform. Now, according to the OTC desks, they did see an increase on the demand side for Bitcoin from individual investors and increased sell pressure from large funds. Again, same thing. I don't think that's really systemic. I think that's largely coming in from the news-driven event failure of remdesivir. Now, there is large demand for crypto coming out of Argentina right now in the face of their 9th sovereign default. Individuals in Argentina are increasingly asking for payment in crypto or trying to get crypto just for the purposes of making normal transactions. In addition, Blockstack just launched their official 2.0 testnet, harnessing the power of Bitcoin's blockchain. Make sure to go test that out. Play with that if you guys want to. And the SEC issued a new suit against founders of Dropil after their token sale was deemed illegal. So keep in mind, as we've said, these reports are, these suits, this SEC activity against token sales and ICOs is going to continue, right? We've been covering this a long time, and this is just the latest in the wash. With that being said, I want to get into today's first story. We're going to be covering boomers, honestly, and how they are going to be performing in the new digital economy moving forward, and how Bitcoin is expected to perform by 2025, so over the next few years. If you guys are new to the channel, or if you've been here 1,000 times, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment down below letting us know what you think. It helps keep the show going and lets us know what to continue to focusing on. All right, guys, with that being said, let's hop right into the news. Well, That's not quite right. Sorry about that, guys. There should be a... There we go. Got it. OBS. All right, so anyways, according to a damning new report concerning the macroeconomic outlook, Bitcoin has the potential to rally to $1 million a coin in the coming years, while the fallout from the coronavirus means that the baby boomer generation is going to be totally wrecked. Right now, this report was published by the global macro investor, the GMI, and it's ominously titled The Unfolding. All right, I have a link to this over here. This is The Unfolding. Now, originally released to clients of GMI on March 30th, it's gone into wider circulation today, and a lot of the crypto space is buzzing about the contents of this report, as it seems to make a very bullish case for Bitcoin while painting an absolutely abysmal picture of the macro economy, particularly in how it relates to the boomer generation. All right, now this GMI report was authored by the CEO of GMI, Raoul Pai, and he goes on to identify the fallout of the COVID outbreak as fueling the fire of systemic weakness across global markets. Entirety. All right, so we'll go down here and find some interesting points. Now, he describes the damage wreaked by COVID on the United States pension system as being incomprehensible, and that baby boomers will sell every rally in order to protect the last bit of their rapidly diminishing nest egg, essentially saying that those who have been saving for a long time are screwed. Commenting on the state of these retirees' portfolios at the end of March, Powell said that the baby boomers are totally screwed. He has been publicly warning about this. Now, of course, since the report was published at the end of March, we have seen a rather strange and irrational trend emerge out of the economy, with the stock market seeing a recovery while record unemployment is growing and growing every single week, becoming something that is absolutely impossible for anybody to ignore. Now, most Bitcoin proponents will argue that the current fiat racket represents an intrinsically unfair game. While big businesses enjoy cozy relationships with big governments, employees and small businesses are getting left out in the cold, right? This is a function of statism, not a function of the free market. Now, along with first dibs on stimulus and bailouts, though, large corporations, due to statism, are getting handed government-protected monopolies over entire sectors of the economy. You know, the famous referendum to short the banks, economist Max Kaiser has termed this as neo-feudalism. Right? This is a term that's become popular in other sectors as well. Now, for this GMI report, what Bitcoin represents is an exciting exit opportunity to escape what is a rapidly deteriorating status quo that we've known for the majority of our entire lives. Now, while gold could potentially go up 5x in the next 5 years, Bitcoin has much more potential to offer. According to the CEO Raoul, Bitcoin is a completely different story. He thinks that it can get to $1 million in the same time period. I think it can go from a $200 billion asset class up to a $10 trillion asset class. And that's about a 100x prediction on Bitcoin inside 5 years. That's pretty super bullish, right? Or, depending on how you look at it, maybe super bearish on the traditional global financial system. Right? Now, highlighting how Bitcoin goes beyond just a mere currency or even a store of value, describing Bitcoin as an entire financial accounting system in and of itself that is trusted, verified, secured, a system of value that can never be created outside of its cryptographic algorithm. This means that Bitcoin could be the future of our entire medium of exchange system, of money itself, together with the platform on which it operates, which is its own payment network with its own native currency, medium of exchange and article. So what do you guys think? This is, you know, we've covered super bullish predictions before. We've covered a lot of bearish news in recent days, such as why Bitcoin crashed in the middle of the market meltdown, contrary to the long-term held belief in the space that Bitcoin would perform bullishly under the pressure of a collapsing fiat system as a safe haven store of value. This GMI report is off the charts bullish, but maybe we could use a little shot of hopium this Friday afternoon and consider what a $50,000 Bitcoin could do for morale around these parts, right? If we take a genuinely macroeconomic view, the collapse of the current order may be unfolding after centuries of operation, right? From the time we had the privatization of the central bank, when the Federal Reserve was first created in 1913, to when Nixon suspended the gold standard in 1971, to all of the financial bubbles that have come and gone, including the 2008 financial crisis. The events currently unfolding in 2020 may be another chapter in the downfall of the current fiat system and another footnote of failed monetary systems throughout history. Therefore, Bitcoin's rise to prominence and rise in prominence against this backdrop will also take place over years and decades. So in other words, hodl, baby. We're in it for the $10 trillion market cap come 2025. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Now, our next story is going to be about the pretty infamous crypto user who goes by the name The Crypto Dog, known in the space as a longtime miner, trader, analyst, blockchain investor. Now, he recently asked his Twitter followers, right, a pretty meaningful question, and one that I don't think we actually maybe stop to think and ask enough about around here. How has Bitcoin changed your life, right? And so he asked, how did Bitcoin, the leading cryptocurrency, change your life? And he received about 300 replies in just a few hours. Now, and among the responses was a rather shocking one from CZ. That's the CEO of Binance. Now, for CZ, was rather unexpected, seeing as he's famous as being one of the first crypto billionaires in the world, launching the Binance exchange in mid-2017. CZ was ranked third in Forbes' richest people in cryptocurrency list just last year. Now, but we can see how he replies, no house, no car, no boat, no golf, no fiat money, new job, more fulfilling life. Now, CZ highlights how he apparently doesn't own a house, a car, or a boat, doesn't play golf, and avoids using fiat money. Instead, for CZ, crypto means that he found a new career, started a new job, and most importantly, in his opinion, he lives a more fulfilling life. And this is something that I feel is relevant for our community of traders. All right, this is something that many of us at Cracking Cryptocurrency have strived for, have achieved, or are striving for, to be able to discover something new, learn a new skill or industry, and finally, even find yourself in a new job or career, one where you work from home and get what you want out of life, where you own your time and your time does not own you. Now, on the flip side, however, many participants of this informal Twitter survey described how Bitcoin has only brought anxiety and nervousness to their daily lives. In the high-stakes world of trading and capital management, combined with a highly speculative and volatile asset, this does mean that many newcomers to the space are hopping straight out of the pan and right into the fire. And this is something that we try and coach and mentor our community on, not only how to avoid getting burned, how to pace yourself and practice appropriate risk management, and how to manage your emotions while trading. Managing your emotions and your expectations is absolutely vitally important. The road to building wealth, the pathway to profit, is one that's built with discipline and concentration. The reality is, very few people in this Twitter thread shared genuine success stories featuring Lambos or expensive watches. There were probably more marriages ending in divorce than new Lambos for many who entered the space in late 2017, which is when many new individuals entered into the space. Of course, others did comment that their lives are becoming more free and relaxed in terms of financial independence thanks to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So the question is, where do you guys stand? Have you enjoyed your time on the cryptocurrency roller coaster? Do you like to live dangerously and dabble in the high risk, high reward game? Or are you building up your crypto nest egg up over time? And are you happy with your investment approach and the future projections of this industry? Please let us know in the comment section down below. The other thing that we're going to cover on Monday is, of course, going to be BitMEX is going to be adding a new contract, but I want to look into it a little bit more because I want to understand it, right? So that wraps it up for today's cryptocurrency segment. We're going to take a brief break while we switch over to do today's analysis. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. If you're following on YouTube, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Consider following or dropping a subscription on DLive or Twitch. And we'll be right back, guys. Thank you guys so much for your support. Let us know how you're doing in the comments section. If you have any chart requests or things you'd like to cover, drop them in there. The moderators will bring my attention to them. So close. So close, almost. All right, and we are back in the live scene. Hopefully you guys can see everything okay. All right. Lots to cover today. Of course, let's get right into Bitcoin and start with Bitcoin as we are wont to do. Thank you guys. I'm glad you guys like the setup. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is Bitcoin and its relationship to the baseline. The baseline is going to be our default trend directional indicator. Alex, hit the like button or your family will be in the night. Oh, my dear Lord. Hopefully you guys are okay. All right, so Bitcoin, of course, is above the daily baseline. We have been spot long on Bitcoin since we closed back above the daily baseline on the 22nd, causing a little bit of chop for us because, of course, we did hedge 2 days prior to that, getting out at about a 3% L on that. But again, getting back in for the nice USD capital gain. So again, up more than we lost on that. And it was good. Of course, you always want to be safe and protected. This is the entire point of hedging. We hedge to protect our USD capital and preserve what we've worked so hard to build. So now here we are, spot long on BTC. Are we trading above the qualifying line? Yes. Have we had dip opportunities today, just today on reentries? Yes, we have. We can see that today is currently printing a doji candle. That candle has not closed, so we don't have full confirmation of that. However, I have a feeling that this is roughly what the candle will look like. We often see this, particularly moving into the weekend, right? So I know that a lot of people are viewing this area as bearish. That is not my prognosis of where we currently are with Bitcoin. I actually think that we're actually looking good, looking in a nice bullish area right here. Now, I'm not going to be concerned until we close the daily down below the base where the baseline is sitting, and it's sitting here down here around 7,000. So that's going to be about a $500 drop, where I start to get concerned that the long-term trend of Bitcoin is going to flip to the downside, and we start to look at that, area below price as a yawning chasm. I don't think that's currently going to happen, and I think it's inappropriate for us to speculate on those things because remember, guys, the market is not as cyclical as an individual would be led to believe by looking at this chart, right? Remember that if price is high or if price is low, it's just a price. It doesn't really matter. The main characteristic of the market is trending. The main characteristic of the market is trending. It's consolidation and trending. And currently, we are expecting that the market will begin to trend to the upside. And the reason why we expect it to trend up is because we are trading above the baseline. Now, we are overall trying to break out of a range. We have formed a new higher high on Bitcoin. So we have broken out of this consolidation area that we've had between 6,800 and 7,200, which is good to see. I would love to form a shelf here and continue to push higher. So I would like to see us consolidate above this previous high. However, consolidating above this previous high right here would also be a good sign. So overall, we can see that the baseline makes all of that guesswork largely irrelevant because both areas that I pointed out, this area right here, these highs right here, and this previous high are both basically saying, I would like to see us consolidate above the baseline. And voila, in one simple indicator, we have the areas that we need to consolidate above to continue to push to the upside. Now, the qualifying line is sitting basically right where we're at, right around 7,400. So again, dips below 7,400 are going to be those entry areas, looking at maybe pull out minks on the 4-hour, pull out minks on the hourly, or your favorite reversal indicator or momentum oscillator that shows oversold and overbought levels of choice, and look for those oversold areas, those oversold opportunities on the meso time frame if you're trying to optimize your entry. Again, as a market enter trader, I'm already in my position, ready to go. Current take profit zone. If we pull out Quadriga ATR, we do have this set on custom. So let's turn off custom true range. I apologize for that. Current take profit zone appears to be between 7,942 and 8,795 with hard stops at 68.76. And we can see that with daily closes below the baseline, our long trades are going to be invalidated, and that's okay. Remember, the Quadriga ATR updates its targets and stops dynamically based on the market, based on market volatility. So this is exactly where we want our daily swing stops. This is exactly where we want our daily swing take profits, right where they are. Not closer, not closer. Mr. Ether says, I'm hedged until breaking that most recent high. I know, listen, I understand that there's a significant portion of the community that is bearish, and they are, they're looking at this as an opportunity to sell. And it's a potential that price can reverse from here and we end up selling off, and that our hedging was actually a good entry and price broke to the upside and is going to just trail back down. So we're looking at an optimum entry for a short. Remember, I don't trade like that. I identify the trends of the market. That is my edge. And I don't try to fall into this kind of cyclical idea. I don't fall into this cyclical idea of the market. However, again, I'm not belittling anybody's strategy. Everybody is going to have their own edge. Others are going to be winning when I'm losing, and I'm going to be winning when others are losing. It's just all in the individual edge that you approach the market with, and the edge that I approach the market with is looking for those strong trends in the market. Okay, so we've covered the baseline, the overall directional bias, the overall directional trend of the daily time frame. We've covered take profit and stop loss levels. Let's take a look at our indicators here. So Wada-Atar explosion is measuring overall volatility, and we can see that we are rising in volatility. We have a rising explosion level, and we've had this kind of nice contraction of volatility ever since this large expansion during the March meltdown. So it's a good area for us to be. I like this area. Wada-Atar explosion has come down to levels where we can get nice trending movements, and we have a lot of room to grow for Wada-Atar explosion here. So I like this. This is confirming volatility to the upside. So this is being a confirmer for long trades. Paralox, which is detecting the divergence between the relative strength index and the commodity channel index, is also pointing up, letting us know that there is good potential for price to continue to appreciate. And of course, the VOS predictive oscillator, which is actually our reversal indicator, is actually crossing up and over. So this is interesting to me because I typically use the VOS as an exit indicator. All right, and I want to thank Johnny for doing such a fantastic job on programming this version of the VOS. There is a version that is available on TradingView. Of course, I want to thank John Ellers for creating the thing in the first place. But this implementation in Pine by Johnny was absolutely fantastic. The crossover here is really indicative, I think. The crossover here is really indicative, I think. Again, cross under here kind of let us know that this whole trend was bearish, and then crossing up letting us know that we have a strong potential here to really make a strong push for Bitcoin's price. So we'll see. We'll see if we'll see if the short sellers end up getting wrecked as they commonly do. With that being said, all right. With that being said, let's go down to let's actually go down to the 2-hour time frame and look at the Cybot. Cybot didn't do a whole lot of activity here. This is the bot that we're currently working on. This is going to be one of the first. This is going to be one of the first bots that is actually released for the premium group. So we're just in the final stages of testing and debugging here. Again, took along from here, took profit, took along from here, took profit. Overall, hasn't been that busy in this area because this is also a meso time frame trend catcher. So not taking a lot of action on the 2-hour. It does work on the 4-hour, and we can see that it's not really taking action here on the 4-hour either. So just being calm, being conservative, doing what it's doing. So let's take a look at the... we actually don't want the Cybot here. What we do want is Minx. All right, so we are on the 45-minute time frame. We're going to increase our length. We're going to change our baseline filter to the 60 Hall. And we're going to say daily time frame. All right, cool. And we're really looking for... We're really looking for longing opportunities. Now, the new version of Minx, I'll actually fix that, where if we're above the daily baseline, it signals for the shorts, because it shouldn't be doing that. We should really only be looking for the long opportunities. So here on the lower time frames, on the 45-minute, the last buying signals from the 45. This also works on the 15 or the 30. This is the lower time frame strategies that we've gone over in our community mentoring sessions. We can see them signaling here. We can see that the ISIS bot is also centered around Minx implementation as well. This is the second bot that we're working on and testing right now. And it hasn't taken a whole lot of action either. Of course, this will have the daily time frame baseline filter. So these signals would actually not be taken. These would be take profits for the longs and not entries for shorts, because we don't short when price is above the... because we don't short when price is above the daily baseline. We only short when price is below the daily baseline. So again, lower time frame strategies. If the daily time frame is bullish, right, or if your higher time frame, your monitoring time frame, your primary trading time frame is bullish, then on lower time frames, you look at oversold opportunities as buying potential. It's the only time we take reversal trades. That's a reversal within the trend. Okay. If the higher time frame trend is bearish, then you look to short sell over bought conditions, right? So if price was bearish, if price was below the daily baseline, then yes, we might potentially look at this. Obviously, was a good top to sell, and this was not really a great opportunity. This was a losing trade, but those would be opportunities right there. Those would be opportunities that we look for, but they're not. The only opportunity that I see here is from the traditional Minx system here, and from the ISIS bot right here, of course. All right. Let's get back over into the main. Let's also look at Ethereum while we're here. All right, and Ethereum performing quite the same. And we talked about this. We talked about how Ethereum was actually more bullish in trend than Bitcoin. We've talked about this for a while, because as you'll see, Ethereum never attempted to even try and close below the daily baseline, nor did it close below a continuation filter or anything of that nature. So actually looking pretty healthy, not in the entry zone. You can see that one would have gotten an entry right here, potentially coming back into the entry zone. You had this wick and this low where we actually traded. Didn't quite close within the qualifying zone, but again, you had a nice push up to the upside here. Let's see here. So I don't really see any potential entries for Ethereum. As I covered, I didn't actually end up taking exposure to Ethereum. I took exposure to Bitcoin, EOS, and XRP. And that's because I am a technical trader. So I went where the volatility was. I went where the signals were on the daily time frame. All right. So, but Ethereum directional bias is to the long side. Things are looking good. With that in mind, let's take a look. We can see that we had this rising explosion level as we were coming up above the entry qualifier. So really nothing to do here. Just not giving these same clean signals as Bitcoin is. However, Paralox is doing well. And again, same thing over here. The VOS predictive oscillator is curling up, but not giving the crossover yet. So things to notice there. With that being said, let's hop down to the 4-hour time frame. And I want to actually pull open Minx. And we will just turn off. We can see on the 4-hour time frame, here's the initial long signal for Minx over here on the 4-hour. We do have a continuation long signal here, which one would still be in. But looking for these oversold buying opportunities, we can see one right here. Remember that the current way that Minx is coded, the TPS signals are going to be reversal signals. You can disable those by turning off primary signals and turning on reversal signals, and you'll get the actual long and short entries. But remember, the reversal signals don't yet work with the daily filter. But with that being said, we can see a buying opportunity here on the 4-hour time frame for Ethereum here, and of course the trending 4-hour long signal here. Overall, not much going on yet. Not quite getting oversold. We never got overbought here on Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame. So I think that we actually have room to push higher before the end of the day. The other consideration, though, is, of course, that today is Friday. Friday is often profit taking. We often see negative returns on Friday, not only in crypto, but in traditional markets as well. So I wouldn't be overly concerned if we were to sell off a little bit today and trade sideways over the weekend. This is what I expect from Saturday. Darth Maul candle, most likely that's usually what we get on a Saturday. And then Sunday, moving into the evening, actually anywhere between 5 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning, I expect the movement to the upside to begin, if that is indeed the direction that we're going to move. All right. As you guys can see, I have a lot of trades open right now. All right. So let's take a look at the broader market here to see what we can kind of expect. All right, so looking at the E-mini futures, again, we started off with a nice rally. We've had a sell-off over the last few hours, and now we are pushing back up to the upside. Same on the NASDAQ. The Dow is kind of lagging behind. The NASDAQ is making higher highs, but the SPY and the Dow are both making lower highs. The Russell is attempting to push up as well. VIX, what's interesting about this is that even with the sell-off, VIX stayed roughly the same, meaning that even though stocks were slipping, that the fear and greed index was not rising. So again, this looks a little bullish to me. This seems like a good swath of profit taking and investor fickleness over the fact that remdesivir failed and that we're getting some really negative reports. But investors know that we're going to get even worse reports in April. Another thing, of course, that is probably propelling these negative movements when we do get them is that some states here in the United States continue to issue more restrictive lockdowns, right? For example, Illinois is recently announcing that they've extended the lockdown to May 30th, right? May 30th. So again, take that as you will. Overall, my sentiment is bullish here. Gold spot having a nice rally off of the bottom here after its sell-off, as is silver. The euro dollar is performing how it does. The euro dollar has been incredibly volatile, right? Lower time frame traders in Forex with good directional bias have had amazing volatility to take advantage of. So I will just say that and move on. If we actually look at the overall ETFs in the traditional markets, we can see that the SPY is currently trading positive. It has traded down. Again, it's sold off today, but it is now rallying back from that sell-off. Same with the NASDAQ, same with the Dow. The Dixie is actually slipping today after forming a higher high. Gold spot's having a nice day. I have a lot of long exposure to gold. I'm not going to lie. I'm long on the CFD. I'm long on the ETFs. I got some coins. A lot of exposure. Oil continues to trickle up slightly. Oil's just trickling up just a little bit. Nothing too perspective there. Again, we talked about USO potentially being a good buy. I actually am short on USO. It's already hit my first take profit. I've already taken some profit on USO. My stop loss is at break even. So we'll look at that here in a little bit. And again, overall, I want to look at the Bitcoin weekly chart. And I think that this is really helpful for looking at the broader market as well. Again, where is Bitcoin right now on the weekly time frame? And we're getting very close to the weekly close right now. I kind of expect this to almost be locked in. We are above the yellow box territory. What is the yellow box territory? That is the fair market value of Bitcoin's price. When it's in that yellow box, Bitcoin's price is fair. And as you can see, it doesn't really like being fair price. It likes to oscillate wildly around this, meaning that on a macro scale, Bitcoin's price is a little bit more cyclical than we've mentioned. But when it comes down to the daily, when it comes down to the monthly, it's really not as cyclical as it appears. So that seems confusing. So let me put that back in. Let me put that back in motion, right? When you're looking to capitalize on trading, on capturing swing trades, right? The progression of the market is not as cyclical as you would believe. Overall though, you gold bug, you. Overall, though, on the weekly time frame, we can see the cyclical nature of the pattern that Bitcoin has been in for the last 2 years, right? Forming the high in December of 2017, the low in January of 2019, and then oscillating around those levels, with no significant break to the upside, no significant break to the downside, right? Remember, even on our last March market meltdown, we only dipped down to test the supply box right at that green box territory. So the supply box right there, if price dips into the green box territory, that's a back the truck up area. As price approaches the red box territory here, that has been the best place historically to sell Bitcoin over the last few years. And really, what is the long-term play that we're looking for? We're looking for everybody that sells the red box to get punched in the face as price blasts past that to form a new higher high. But to see that, we have to see unlike we did, almost like we did. But again, this red candle was certainly the death spiral of that. And then this was a selling opportunity. And retraces to that were selling opportunities. We really need to see price form a new shelf now above 10,000, right? We need to see price form a nice new shelf. We attempted to consolidate there, but the selling pressure was too much. We went back for a triple top here and sold down from that. So getting back above that will be quite a bullish thing. So we've got some work to do. Remember, if we cross 8,000, most likely we are at least going to trade up as high as 10,000. I don't know if we're going to close there or if we're going to see price sell off from there and form yet another higher low. But that is going to be the way that things go. I do believe that if price reaches and trades past 8,000, we'll accelerate to 10,000 quite quickly. That's an acceleration zone. We cut through that area like a knife through butter. Now, whether or not we are able to breach the top at 10,200, that remains to be seen. All right, with that being said, let's take a look at, let's go back out to the daily and we'll look at Forex here real quick. All right, so looking at the Aussie yen, I don't see any action to take here. I do need to see price break above the continuation filter sitting around 68.733. We need to be trading a little bit higher on the daily for continuation longs. The Aussie Kiwi, I'm long on this. I held this through yesterday's doji candle and up we go. Yay. The Aussie Canadian is actually looking good, continuing to push higher as the Australian dollar performs well. You can see it performing well against the Aussie dollar, against the United States dollar. But again, needs to be trading a little bit higher to break that continuation filter and give us the long signal. Canadian Swissy is slipping here a little bit. Demand for the Swissy is rising coming off of that negative report from the UK. And as much as the EU is actually looking okay, more demand for the safe haven asset, the Swiss franc is actually rising at this point in time. Canadian yen is consolidating. There's no trade on the table here. We can see the Swissy yen falling. We talked about this trade. I talked about this trade for like a week, and this is not one that I took advantage of because of the restrictions on my trading strategy. But I pointed this out. This was just a sliding off into death, right? The Swissy trading against the yen. All right, the Euro Aussie. The Euro Aussie actually potentially signaled for a continuation short yesterday, but I already had a lot of Euro short exposure, so this is not a trade that I ended up taking, but we can see it closing below the continuation filter yesterday and signaling for that short, just as it did over on this candle here. You can see the purple bar coloring of that candle. The Euro Canadian very similarly signaled for the continuation short yesterday. You can see the bright red bar coloring here, but again, same thing. I already had Euro short exposure, and I'm glad because price has retraced. I will potentially look at these as re-entries, depending on how my Euro yen and Euro dollar trades end up progressing and where I end up closing those out, assuming that those Euro trades come back into like an entry qualifying zone or something like that, or a better optimum price for me to enter. The Euro Swissy is actually hinting at a long, but we need to be trading we need to be trading significantly higher here. Let's see here. Same thing here for the Euro Kiwi, signaling for the short. The Euro Pound is flat right now. Nothing to do on the Euro Pound with a bearish bias on the Euro Pound. But again, wanted to talk about that. Wanted to talk about that movement today that we talked about. Again, the Euro Pound did see some overall good. The Euro Pound did see some good movement, but it's come back down to consolidation. The Euro Yen continuing to sell off. The Euro Dollar again putting in a doji. Let's see here. Wow. So the Euro Dollar. Let's see. We had already hit our first take profit, and price just continued to move down. Good stuff. The Pound Kiwi is actually consolidating here, putting in this nice doji after I entered short yesterday. So we'll continue to watch this one. Pound Canadian not giving us a signal right now at this point in time. Pound Swissy looking for a continuation long, but not quite there yet. The Pound Yen needs to sell off more before any action is considered. The Pound Dollar needs to no trade zone. Pound Aussie, I'm short on the Pound Aussie. You guys can see again. That movement to the downside, breaking the continuation filter. Let's see here. Kiwi dollar, nothing to do here. The Kiwi Canadian, as much as I actually kind of like it, is not the trade that I want to take. There's no objective signal here. Neither from the Kiwi Swissy. Actually, the Kiwi Swissy is one that I'm going to put on my watch list. Good movement out of the USD Swissy. Look at that doji candle today. Let's see here. Good stuff. Good stuff. Glad to be long on the USD Swissy. You guys can see. I assume that's going to be hitting my first take profit on today. So come today's close, I'll be moving my stop loss to break even, which kind of allows me to avoid this intraday volatility, which might have potentially hit it. And long on the Aussie Swissy as well. All right. The dollar yen. Let's see, what is that? Mink signaling for a continuation short on the dollar yen. And the dollar won, nothing to do here. All right. So again, the only thing that I really saw that caught my interest today, looking at the only thing that really caught my interest today was going to be on the Kiwi Swissy. Let's go take a closer look at that. So as we can see, we got a continuation long signal yesterday, but you guys can see the size of the candle. I'm surprised that can give a no trade signal. And that's probably what it was, right? I think just a few ticks higher, just a few pips higher, and that would have been giving a no trade candle size. So likely when I was doing my trading last night, it was throwing up that no trade. It was throwing up that no trade condition right here. So, and you know, it's overall glad that I missed this one because price has pulled back. Let's take a look at the rest of our indicators. And Parallax wasn't there, of course. Parallax wasn't there. Voss hasn't crossed up, and we didn't have, it's okay, we don't need Wadatar explosion for a continuation. So let's watch this one. If Parallax will actually give me the go ahead, maybe we can be entering this pair on Monday's close. All right, looking at, let's look at our ETF commodities. Big movement down in agriculture. Big move down in agriculturals. Not quite where I want it to be. So let's take a look here. I just want... Yeah, we can see Voss signaling for the short on this candle as we got just a little, I mean, it's so crazy to get just a little overbought there in that area. I take my Flintstone vitamins every day? No, but I do hit the weights for an hour every morning. I read the news and I get a good night's sleep. Get a good night's sleep. All right. Yeah, some pretty negative movements from the agriculturals. Corn, I expect that FUD is going down. Grains. Man, you guys think that crypto is volatile. I'm loving it. All right, big down movement from soybeans again. At least from the ETF. The actual CFD is trading a little bit divergent from the ETF, which is pretty interesting. So, Toy Cream is trading differently from the CFD on Awanda. Wheat trading negatively as well. Mink signaling for a continuation short. I would be a little hesitant on chasing it, but again, this does look like a nice consolidation area to catch the short on this breakdown. Just watching for what is correct. Interesting, USO actually signaling for the take profit on short signals on today's daily candle. As USO slips quite a bit. down about 2% on the day. So maybe an opportunity to take some good, maybe an opportunity to take some profit on our USO short. All right. Keeping my eye on copper. You know, copper, if I would have entered yesterday, would have hit my first take profit. But man, it would have hit my first take profit, and I would also be at a bit of an L right now, because I would have had to have moved my stop loss intraday. So that is a pretty interesting move from CPER. Yeah, definitely on my watch list though. But I didn't think that yesterday was quite the right buy. But we'll see. We'll see. Big move into the upside, but sold into almost immediately. And you know, nickel I had wanted to enter into as well, which actually would have been probably not the best move. Sorry. Yeah, because we would have had a huge gap down in nickel. Huge gap down. This would have probably hit my stop loss on the gap. I would have taken this at market entry yesterday. Oh, would have just barely missed it. A stop would have been at 47.55, and the low was 47.61. I just barely missed it on that gap to the downside on nickel. Broader metals is starting to look attractive, but not quite sure. Got my long exposure in IAU and GLDM. Well, they're having pretty interesting profit-taking days on Friday. Let's watch how this opens up on... let's see how this opens up on Monday. SGOL actually having a worse movement, so I'm actually glad I took my speculation on the others. Jake Rezio says, have I looked at meat markets or meat ETFs? The crash seems to be crashing meat or livestock. Well, the biggest one is going to be cow. You could certainly... I wonder if we can... Cow, I assume, is probably a hard-to-borrow ETF. We could see if we can get it. It depends on your broker. At least not on Webull. Maybe Charles Schwab, we could borrow it. Man, I had some lag there. But yeah, there's certainly other opportunities and other avenues to get advantage. But you know, probably the easiest and the fastest is going to be cow. That gives you the broad exposure to the overall sector, and you don't have to worry about speculating on individual stocks. But all right, with that being said, man, there's a whole lot more to look at. Let's see what you guys got for questions today. Go long on Charmin. Yeah, that's the stock trading meme right now. And Whiting Petroleum. Whiting. Give you that update on our trading competition. Continue to slug up there, almost pulling in about 6%. Roy Coin remains the top earner. Rhino Trader doing well. Crypto Sophie. Nimic doing well. Good performers, guys. All right, let me find your questions here. I want to thank you to the D-Livians watching. Crypto Kid 978, thank you so much for the lemons. Giving them right back to you guys. All right, we got a chart request for Cardano from Damian Hughes. Let's see how we're looking today. Cardano continues to perform well. Still long on Cardano. I've taken 50% profit. I've moved my stop loss. I actually set a trailing stop on Cardano. So things are looking good. We've got that trailing stop just riding up. In fact, I have to check Binance here in a minute after I get off the stream. It's possible that it already hit. But overall, let's see here. Cardano looking good. Again, as we continue to trend up, now is the time to be setting on a trailing stop loss. We talked about trailing stop loss yesterday. Right now, on today's close, one should be setting their trailing stop loss should be at least at 0.387. I believe it was 0.3. Yeah, we set it at 0.038 on yesterday's daily close. So it should be up at least to 0.0387. And if we look at the divergence between where we're currently at to the high, up another 4.5%. So really should be up around 0.04 is where your trailing stop loss should be on Cardano right now. Pulling those profits up as Cardano continues to trend. Don't really see anything negative insofar as oscillators. If we look at overall chart structure and VPVR, nothing really. Of course, we are coming up to this consolidation area right here. I would expect to see some selling pressure around the 48s up to the 5s, 0.05, 0.048 to 0.05. That's where we're going to encounter some resistance. And you can see basically where we attempted to sell off here, which is this previous level and the bottom of this consolidation zone. So it's a pretty wide zone, pretty wide consolidation zone, but keep in mind we tend to shoot right through it. We consolidated here briefly before shooting up. We consolidated here briefly before shooting back down. So 0.048, 0.05 if one was looking for an objective level for stop loss for a stop and target. Boris Bitcoin wants me to take a look at XLE, the energy ETF. Sure. All right, looking at the energy sector. Again, I think the energy sector is a contrary. Well, the energy sector is currently a contrary play right now. Common logic would say short the ETF sector, right? Now, I think that we're bullish. I think that we are in a bullish trend. We're having a down day, as with everything else. Banks has given us some long potential, long opportunities here. In fact, signaling for a long here and a continuation long here. And we are above the baseline. Almost made it to the mute button for the sneeze. Almost made it. We're above the continuation line. We are above the baseline. Yeah, things do look good to me. The only thing about XLE is Voss has pointed down, and we are looking at a double top. So for me, I would be restrictive with this. You're going to find out on Monday, because if we get a negative Monday, we're going to probably gap below 33. But if price closes below 33, I'd be out of XLE. But to the upside, if we're looking for this to break this previous high, then we are looking for XLE to trade up to about 36, let's just say $37, up to maybe 41.5. Where we're really looking for. We can see the Quadrigo is really telling us to be safe with a stop loss basically right below this previous low. I would agree with that, but again, I'd be more restrictive and say 33. If we close below 33, I would want to be out of XLE. But meanwhile, I'd be shooting to the upside on XLE. I think that's fine. I think a contrary play is totally fine right now. Big winners over on DLive today. Squeaky Tadpole, B-Flow, Ricky T, Rhino TD, and CryptoKid978. Thank you guys so much for the participation and for being on the stream, guys. And H-bar USDT. Oh, Hedera Hashgraph, the darling of the crypto space. You know, tentatively bullish on Hedera Hashgraph, but I'd like to see us close above 0.034 for that continuation signal. Overall, things are looking good. The oscillators are beginning to point up. We can see the Parallax down there has not yet switched to the upside. I'm going to use this sneaky little Parallax saying now just right there. Yeah, Parallax hasn't switched to the upside. It will if we close above 0.034. So I would like to see price close above 0.034 and show me that we are actually trading higher out of this consolidation area. Yeah, we are coming off of this recent low. And do we have any? No, just no divergence whatsoever. No divergence whatsoever. You know, this is a tricky area. I'm not a big fan of consolidatory ranges. I really like to see price convincingly break above or below them before I trade in that direction. Looking at what the indicators are telling me here, I would be biased to trade this to the upside, but I'm looking for that impulsive signal to see price close above 0.034 before I'd be looking for an H-bar long. And let's do one more here. XRP from CryptoKid978. If we look at the USDT pair, I'm actually long on the USD pair, the perpetual on ByBit for the CL signal. Looking at XRP to tether USDT, actually being a little bit more restrictive. This actually wants to see price close probably higher than 0.194. Let's call it 0.194. But Voss is crossed over. Minx is looking good. Parallax is bullish. Wadatar Explosion is bullish. We're above the baseline. We're above the initiator. We just need to close above that continuation filter for a nice objective signal. Or again, take the nice Minx long signal that we actually got on yesterday's daily close. Minx did give a long signal on yesterday's daily close. So XRP USDT is actually looking good. I would like to see, one more positive daily close. But again, I am already long on XRP USD. On ByBit, had a bit more positive close yesterday. Bit more of a positive close yesterday. All right. Let's also look at XRP BTC then. Now, I had actually ended up closing my XRP BTC short on yesterday's candle, on yesterday's daily close, and I think that's the right move. So I would actually expect to see XRP BTC trade close back to 2,700 sats. Before this is all said and done, while the USDT pair sees positive upside. So we'll see what the weekend brings. The weekend I expect to give us some chop, but we'll look for Monday's close to give us some strong determination as we move into Friday, profit-taking day. All right. With that being said, guys, hold on just one brief moment. We've got a few things to go over before we finish, but we're going to switch over to the other scene. Just hold 1 second. All right, guys, and here we are. So I want to thank you guys for joining me for another fantastic week of trading. I want to give a big thank you to all the members of the Cracking Cryptocurrency community, whether you guys are premium members and trading along actively with us, or regular community members in the Discord and learning and honing your skills as best as you can. Thank you guys for all the feedback and support throughout the weeks. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all the comments that you guys leave down below, and I do my best to respond to each one individually as I can. If you guys have any of those questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns, you can leave them down in the comment section, or make sure to stop by our Discord at discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com and let us know. Moving into the weekend, again, I would expect to see some consolidation and chop as we usually do. I always feel a little hesitant as we move into the weekend because Bitcoin is want to do things. And Bitcoin is actually kind of a decent proxy sometimes. If there's uncertainty in traditional markets, individuals will speculate and take that out over on Bitcoin. I do overall have a bullish bias, and I do expect us to push to the upside, but I'm not going to be surprised to see some gouges come Saturday or Sunday. And we'll see what Monday's close looks like, both in traditional markets and in Bitcoin as a whole. But be safe, trade safely, take profits, and continue trading the structure that you guys are learning to build from the ground up. I want to thank you guys again. Make sure to have a fantastic weekend. Do something that you really like. I started reading. I did actually end up picking up my next book. I couldn't actually decide on what book I wanted to read, so I am rereading The Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Ammous. Make sure to read that if you have not. It is an excellent book, a dive into what money is, what makes money, what are the intrinsic characteristics of money, and why Bitcoin is suited to actually be a fantastic form of money, and what the flaws are, what the fundamental flaws are with previous forms of money that we've had, what their benefits have been, what their drawdowns have been, and what the benefits and drawdowns are of our current monetary system and economic model. So always make sure to find opportunities to improve yourself, your mind. Make sure that you guys are getting some exercise, getting some good sleep in, eating healthy. Do not let this time in quarantine or lockdown get you down. There has never been a better time to get yourself on a schedule, to be motivated, to start working, because if you can do it at home right now with all the free time in the world right now, then you can do this when you go back to regular life. Right? If you work a 9 to 5, or if you're used to working a 9 to 5, getting yourself on that disciplined routine now will help everything else in your life out so much, right? You don't need to have, the stress and anxiety of having to be so many places or handle so many things. Sit down and figure out a good model. Cut the excess slack out of your life and figure out what it is that you need to get done and focus on those things, guys. I will see you guys on Monday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Make sure to stay tuned over the weekend for Breaking Bitcoin bits and special segments. Trade safely and be awesome, guys. Thanks for coming.